Audio check. Hello everyone, it is Super Bowl Sunday, so I assume many people will be hungover tomorrow, so let's keep this video quick. First off, we'll just go ahead and move straight on to the sells and then talk about the market. Partial sells include G&W, which once again is closing below the 50-day moving average on above average volume. Since we don't have a huge gain in it from our initial position, it is going to warrant a sell, or else I would normally wait for a breach of that support low if we had something probably around over a 30% gain, then I would give it some leeway, but we don't, so I won't. ADS is also closing below the 50-day moving average on above average volume. This one is closing below the recent support lows, and since it has red bop, despite us being in this stock forever with a gain of near 65%, we still want to go ahead and take some of it off. Also, UTHR, this one has been confounding to me. I should have gone ahead and sold some of it off with this severe break below the 10 and 20-day moving average. The reason why is because for it to be making a consolidation pattern with that tight price action after that long, excuse me, it should not have broken down on the 24th, even on below average volume. That should have been a partial sell signal. So what I was waiting for was a heavier volume sell-off below those averages. I never got it. And with us closing at 102.62, that being below the 102.83 intraday low a day of 127, that will be a 25% sell. Full sells include the most recent long VICR. Like I said, this pattern in an uptrending market is a beautiful long signal. Absolutely beautiful. It'd be better if there was max green bop leading up to it, but still, whatever. It was still a great signal. However, the stock didn't have the fundamentals that supported a big long position in a market that's not trending higher, and that actually was, by the time of the signal, under a sell signal in our market model. And it didn't work. We sold half immediately, and now the full sell has to come. Unfortunate, but not surprising. BHE is also a full sell, closing below the 50-day moving average. It should not have done that. That is also a failure. And ANGO, with the heavy volume closed below the 50-day moving average, I don't care that BOP rose on the day and that overall the chart still looks great. I've just had enough. It's given way too many conflicting signals, and it's given ad signals that should have worked immediately. I mean, these 2 days should have, if the market was in the right mood, I guess, or state of mind, it should have led to an explosive price move and or just a higher price move. In fact, we're closing below 50-day moves and heavier volume. I don't care that we're not below the low a day. I'm out of this whole thing. I'm done with it. And one new long position, MONT, once again, a nice chart pattern, just like VICR, except for this time around, MONT is in the cloud computing space, a Chinese stock, so it is, but still, it's got great earnings and sales growth, great future estimates. Mutual funds have increased from, none before the IPO to 12 to 20. So mutual funds at least are investing in it. This thing only had 1 or 2 mutual funds in this kind of chart pattern. With it being a Chinese stock, cloud computing or not, I'd be like, watch out. But with everything as we see, I can't go to China to find out it's a real company or not, so I got to listen to price action. It's a great long signal. Once again, uptrending market under a clear buy signal with other stocks already proving themselves. This signal right here is a 5%er, 10%er if we had max green bop for quite a while away and earnings were completely in the past. Let's say it had earnings last week, then we can go 10% on it. But instead of being a 5%er, we're in a selling kind of environment, so it's only going to be 2%. First cut loss is below the low a day. Second cut loss is with a close below this low a day right here, 2010. So we're not risking a whole much. And hopefully if the market does want to move higher, we will be good. That being said, taking a look at the market, even though the intraday price action has been positive, it's still distribution. And if we add up all this yellow line right here, we've had above average volume every day in 2014 outside the first 2 days where we were just slightly under average. And during that time, we have moved down 1%. There is no other way of looking at this other than churning, especially with the 2 big red bars here on this weekly on the NASDAQ. So I can't be too positive on the price action. The only thing I can say short term is we aren't really selling off below the 40, 50, 40, 50, 40, 40 level, and we'll see if we can't hold on. However, the week closes at the end of the day, the past 3 market sessions is a pretty big tell that buyers don't want to buy them into the close and instead are selling them. The Russell 2000 also confirms this with weak price actions. It still trends below the 50-day moving average. So even though we are under a soft sell signal, it doesn't necessarily look like We want to break wide open, but we don't look healthy either. If we do bounce to the 50-day moving average fail on heavier volume, that sell signal will be in full effect, and we'll be looking to add to our SRTY hedge, and I will then start looking for actionable short sell signals. There's been a few out there, like even one today, CLS came up on Friday. That's actionable on a technical pattern alone. However, the market is not in a clear downtrend yet. It could just be very well choppy. Look at how far away the 200-day moving average is. Until you're below the 200-day moving average, it's really hard to say that we're in a quote bad market environment. So, stay neutral here. Take it as it is. We're about 60% long. We have a 20% hedge on the SRTY at 3 times. That's like being short 50% in the account. And we have 20% cash. So 20% cash, 60% long, 20% SRTY, equivalent to a 50% position with a 3 times ETF movement. So overall, depending on where the market wants to go, we're positioned accordingly. And if it wants to move up, we'll get rid of our hedge. If it wants to move down, we'll be selling off more longs. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and everyone, and I hope you had a great weekend. Aloha. I'll see you on Monday.